Right, let's get started. This has been an interesting year already. So let's talk about the Nicolas Maduro situation. Now, Nicolas Maduro, for those who don't know, I would hope you know, but you never know. I'm probably missing an accent or two, but Nicolas Maduro was the president of Venezuela. In effect, he was a dictator, so calling him dictator of Venezuela is more accurate, especially because he wasn't really elected. He inherited the realm from Chavez and was known for fraudulent elections, which resulted in him winning, even though he in reality lost. So he was the leader of Venezuela. Now, he inherited this from Hugo Chavez. Chavez was a socialist dictator who wanted communism, and when he eventually left Venezuela in pieces, well, he died. Don't think he was killed though. Anyways, when he died, Maduro inherited his spot and became the new leader of Venezuela. And recently, Maduro just got kidnapped. He was strategically transferred as equipment to an alternate location in the United States. And as a result, Venezuela now has a new leader. This was done in around half an hour, and 0 deaths on the American side were reported. Now, it is possible that civilian deaths did occur, though from everything I know, they were minimal, maybe 1 or 2. And casualties were definitely greater, but they were only in a few dozen at most. So, all in all, a pretty swift operation. And considering the fact that Caracas is quite literally one of the most populated cities in Venezuela, if not the most populated, and is a very important urban center with a lot of bureaucrats. So, I have a moose stick, apologies. Considering all that, it's a miracle that this happened not only so quickly, but also that with how quickly we did it, so few people died. Because sure, the longer a battle goes on, the more people are likely going to be entering the fray, and thus the risk of death increases, but in order to rush an operation, you must honestly trade quite a few lives in most situations. The fact that we were able to do such an important operation so quickly indicates, well, quite a lot of skill, but also quite a lot of planning. This isn't Iraq. Iraq was quick to conquer, but occupation was another matter. This was just a quick removal of power from one person and letting it fall into another until elections were held. Which, for US interventions, is pretty modest, honestly. Though that does raise a question. What now? Now, a lot of people are going to have different opinions here. Some just want to leave Venezuela alone. Replace the regime, let a more democratic one get in charge. Hopefully, the elites are more amiable to US interests, and we can trade with them, and everyone wins. I, on the other hand, believe something different. I'm going to try to draw Venezuela here while I talk. Apologies if it doesn't look too good. But essentially, Venezuela is a very key location to have. That it is without question, and something that we need to keep in mind whenever we're planning. Because there's oil here. There's a lot of other resources, but oil's the big one. And it's also a very key location, because the Caribbean, including Trinidad and Tobago, is right here. There are islands barely off the coast. So in terms of securing the Caribbean Sea, Venezuela is a very strategic location. Ignoring the dispute with Guyana, which is over here, probably got the exact borders wrong, but still point stands. Given the disagreements and other clashes, Venezuela not only is very important location-wise, but also very unstable in terms of regional security. Securing Venezuela will be of the utmost importance to U.S. security. Is it intervention? Yes. Would it be warmongering if I said we should occupy Venezuela and maintain its regime in a more democratic and favorable to the U.S. light? Yes. Am I going to argue for exactly that? Also yes. See, when it comes to other countries, one thing I have observed consistently is when you remove a strongman dictator, you're unlikely to get a good government after unless someone else is doing a lot of steering. Take Germany, for example. Following World War I, the Kaiser was forced to vacate, and the democratic government that already existed in Germany took to the front in Weimar, formed a new republic, and tried to run things from there. Did the Weimar government work? No. So it led for a strongman, Adolf Hitler, to take control. What about after Hitler's death? Well, after him, World War II eventually would end, and the Allies would occupy the country along with the Comintern with the Soviet Union. And so, with Germany divided, you see the Allies and Comintern attempt to essentially steer Germany in the right direction. And it succeeded in the West. Germany compensated survivors of the Holocaust. They did a lot of work to try to better things. I don't agree with their bans on fascism, but I get it given the context. Because while fascism may be evil, I still believe they should have a voice. But when you're worried about a new Nazi party coming into power, it is very tempting to ban such parties. And it's understandable given the situation. Libya, similarly, had its strongman overthrown, and it just ended up being a bunch of chaos. People warring to claim what was left after Gaddafi fell. Iraq, similar deal. With Maduro gone, another strongman dictator, if the U.S. does not guide Venezuela properly, what will end up happening is it'll just fall into chaos, bloodshed. And that's not a good thing. Not for the Venezuelans, not for the United States. So guiding Venezuela to a more effective governance, heck, it could even have a king, so long as they're effective and care for their people. That's what matters. But securing this area, securing the islands that are not Venezuela, and Venezuela itself, through stability in the region, is critical. There may be those saying, well, what about a rules-based world order? When has that honestly ever existed? Truly, when? Who currently is on the UN Council for Human Rights? In fact, let me pause the video and Google that just to show you an example. Alright, I found it, and oh, would you look at that? Who is on the UN Council for Human Rights? Now, there are several, but let's take a look at some interesting people on there. Shall we? Sudan. The People's Republic of China. Afghanistan. Saudi Arabia. And Russia. Venezuela itself is also on this list. Now, of 47 members, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them all have some issue with human rights. Sudan recently got in headlines for the massive bloodshed going on in civil war, some would label genocide. The People's Republic also is associated with genocide with the Uyghurs, and, as well as that, is known for repressing people's rights, including in Hong Kong. The Taliban are a religious extremist group which punishes people who disagree with them severely, and Saudi Arabia is known for its treatment of migrant workers, commonly abusing them, not letting them have citizenship, among other things. And the Russian Federation, well, that should be fairly obvious, especially given what's going on in Ukraine. Now, this is the people who are supposed to be looking out for human rights. Notice anything? Oh, right. Besides that, these people don't care about human rights. The idea that there is some world order with the rules that people follow and that people respect is a joke. I am fairly certain the UN Council for Human Rights existed when the Khmer Rouge happened. And remind me how that went? Oh, right. 25% of the population there died. The age of expectancy to live in the Khmer Rouge dropped to below 18 years old. And the UN let it happen. This idea of some world order that respects its rules is a joke, and it has been for decades upon decades. Even after the Soviet Union fell, when the world was supposed to be under US hegemony completely, do you want to know what we saw? The Rwandan genocide, numerous atrocities in the Iran-Iraq war, and actually I think that one was during the Soviet Union's existence, but even still, Yugoslavia was a freaking mess. Its intervention was a mess too. And throughout it all, something was clear. There is no rules without force. There is no rules without the United States. Because guess who in the UN has the most military force to stop the actions of these people? That's right, the US. It's the US that decides right and wrong when it comes to intervention. Why? Because it's the one with the stick that people use for intervention. So this notion of, oh, well, we have rules, we want to enforce them. Yeah, you can't do that without strength. And who's the one with the strength right now? It isn't Europe, it isn't Africa, and it isn't Asia. It's the United States of America. So no. You want rules? Alright. Get a stick and start enforcing them. Otherwise, those pieces of paper you have, worthless. I freaking hate pure legalism being argued in politics and foreign policy. Mainly foreign policy. Internal politics, I get. It provides stability. When you're dealing with foreign policy, no one cares about what you sign on paper if you don't act on it. And plenty of people are willing to sign away something that they don't intend on giving up while taking whatever they want. But plainly, no. You should not treat law between countries like it's some 100% reliable thing. Never. Because it isn't. And so if you want a rules-based world order, get ready to kick a stick and pick it up and use it. If not, guess what? You aren't going to get your rules. So grow up. Now I, of course, hold fine to the idea of a rules-based world order as long as it's the US deciding them. Go figure, American imperialist likes American rules. Makes sense. But when it comes down to this, I have no complaints here. We did our job, we got what we wanted, and now we have a position to negotiate with Venezuela. Do or else. Simple as. Personally, I'd prefer if Grand Colombia were united so we could just handle this all in one go. But Grand Colombia isn't united right now, so we'll have to deal with it as we do. In the end, let's see how this plays out. I'm hoping the US gets the most out of Venezuela as it can. And how the Venezuelan people can get better lives. So, we'll see. Anyways, thank you for watching.